Hi felters and welcome to Felts by Philippa. Today we're going to make the mushroom part of this mushroom and mouse tutorial. I split it into two parts in case you don't want to do both. And he's quite a big mushroom, so you could make a smaller one. I've got lots of other videos on my channel, so do have a look, subscribe, like and comment. And we're going to get started with this in a second. I'll go through the tutorial quite fast in places, but I hope you can follow it and I hope you enjoy it. So here we go, this is the wire frame. It's just for the base and for the mushroom part, for the stalk, just to give it a bit of strength so that it will stand up really well. So we're just taking a carded Shetland wool and I'm going to wrap it round really tightly. The tighter you wrap it, the easier it is to needle felt it. And when you first start, this bottom bit might slide around quite a lot. So just hold it in place and just roughly needle felt it all the way along. I'm not needle felting it really firm here. So when you get down to the bottom, add another bit, and as you go down the bottom bit there, that will stop it from spinning and make it a lot easier for it to stay in place. So we're going to build this up quite a lot because I wanted it to be quite big. As I said, you can make a smaller version of this if you just want to do the mushroom on its own, or you want to do lots of separate little mushrooms, and you probably won't need the wire frame on the inside. I do a whole video on wire armature if you're interested and if you're confused about it at all, so that should help you. Go and have a look at it. So I'm just still building it up, and I really am not needle felting it loads. I'm just getting the shape. And I do apologise about the shape looking a little bit rude, but we're just going to have to ignore that and carry on. So I'm building it up just to get the shape that I want, and then I will spend a bit of time firming it up in a minute. So just keep going until it's going to be bigger at the base and thinner at the top. So I've put a bit more on the base, and then I think, oh, that's the tri-needle I'm using, which is really handy for speeding things up. I have got the wire in the middle, so you have to be a little bit careful not to hit the wire with the tri-needle because the needles are more likely to break. But it does help speed things up. So here we go, I'm firming it all up. And this takes a little bit of time. Just sit there and do it. It's quite enjoyable actually. And just get it all nice and firm because this is going to be the finished outside look of the stalk. So you don't have to watch me firm it all up. So we'll come back, there we go, it's all done. Give a little roll between your hands. It just sort of smooths the edges. And then I'm just attaching a little bit to the top, which again looks even worse, but I'm attaching a bit to the top, and this will help you attach it to the top of the mushroom when the time comes. So we're just going to leave that little top bit there, loose and fluffy. So this is the mushroom top. I've just grabbed a big wad of carded white Shetland, and I've just literally forced it into the shape that I want it to be. You could wrap it quite tightly and build it up slowly, but actually I've put it into the shape I want initially, and I'm using a lot of the tri-needle to get it firmed up. And I'm just building and building on the shape that I want. That's the underside, that's the top side. I took a needle out, so it's just two needles, and it needle felts a bit deeper if you do that, for me, for this needle that I've got. So that's the underside, so I'm just shaping the underside and then shaping the top, adding more to the top in a minute just to make it really dome shaped. You might want your mushroom to not be dome shaped, you might want it to be the reverse way. We're going to do the gills underneath, so if you had it sort of splaying out a bit, people would really see the gills and it would look quite nice. So just still building up, and then we're going to put some bread on the top in a minute and then really firm it all up. But I've added quite a lot of wool to this. So there's the bread. It feels quite bright, but when it's all done, it doesn't look as bright. And actually, I add another little bit of a mix of a colour in a minute as well, because I thought it was just a bit too plain. So there we go, I've firmed up in the middle there. Just start to do it really slowly and just firming it all up. And I haven't worried too much about the strict edge line at the bottom yet. We'll get round to that in a minute. Just take the red down So here we go, I mixed an orange and a red. This is called carding your own wool with these two little carders. I've got a video on equipment for needle felting if you're ever wondering what all the tools are, what we call them, what we do with them. So I've just added a slight change in colour around the base just to give it a little bit more interest. It doesn't show loads at the end, so I feel I could have added more, or you could add a bit of a stronger colour. So I still haven't done the line around the bottom yet, so we're about to start working on that now. So as you go around the edge, just draw the needle and try and draw the line with the red bit. I want some of the white showing, and so I've had to build up more of the white underneath. When you're working with the red going down, some of the red will come through, so you're going to have to pad it out once more towards the end to cover up that red showing through. And you can do the white at an angle so that it doesn't go through the red and sort of show through the reverse way. And they need to be really padded underneath, because when we're going to do the gills, you want it to be quite soft and padded. So here I am working on the line all the way around, and just needle felt in and try and get a fairly straight red line definition. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go, I've really worked it all in. Really padded underneath. It's going to be ready for doing the gills in a bit. So halfway, or sort of towards the top of the stalk of the mushroom, I'm adding, I think they call it a ring. It's like a sort of extra bit of skin that's peeling off. So I've done a rectangular shape, and this skin can have like frills on it, and I thought that was a really nice detail. So fold over one edge so that that's a little bit thicker. And you don't have to needle felt it that much, because when you put it onto the mushroom it will needle felt quite well. But I've done these little lines, you can really not see it there, these little lines, and it sort of gives you little frilly bits at the end. And so if you needle felt lines onto the actual wool, and then where the line is, just needle felt it up and inwards, so you sort of end up with a little bit of a wavy line and a little bit of a curl. And when I've put it on, you can also do a little bit more of this later if you want it to show a lot more. But it does show, it's a tiny little bit of detail. And so you wrap it around towards the top of the stem, and then you're only going to needle felt the bit above it, so that ring bit sort of splays out a little bit. And you can sort of force it out with your fingers as you go, but don't needle felt that part on, because that's got the frills on it. And I just thought it was a nice bit of extra detail. Right, dots. So dots or spots. I thought this was going to be the really fun bit, but actually I found this quite tedious. But you don't have to do as many spots as me, it's up to you. I start them thicker at the top and thinner as you go down. But I think they look really good when they're done. They're really quite impressive. So you don't have to watch all of them. There we go, they're done. See how they get a lot thinner, smaller down to the bottom. And they're definitely quite knobbly and sticky outy. There we go. So I was quite happy with that when it was done. And that's how it's going to go. So one last thing I did was I took a slightly darker colour, and I sort of put a very light layer pointing, sort of going upwards, because I thought the mushroom stalk was really boring and plain. And again, you could do slightly stronger colour on this, because towards the end when you look at it you don't notice it that much, but I thought it was just a nice detail. Now I've attached the top to the stalk here. I've sort of jumped ahead a little bit, but all you do is you've got the fluffy bit at the top of the stalk, turn it upside down, attach that, work it all the way in, and then attach another loose piece, which I'll get in a minute, and that loose piece really helps strengthen it. There we go, sort of put that all the way around the top, and that will really strengthen it. And I do it this way, I put the gills on now rather than before, because they have to go all the way to the base and you would have ended up covering them up slightly. So I take a thin line of a different colour, twist it in my fingers and attach one on each end, and then work it along. And I found this to be the quickest and easiest way. You could just needle felt lines without any extra wool, but that will take a long time. But I just thought this came out quite nicely, and the edges just showed a nice little rippling effect as well. And you can kind of see it when it's sitting upright like that, so people can see the detail that's there. So that is the mushroom stalk. We're just going to do the base. So I had this topsail roving in fantastic colours, but you could just take any greens and mix them together. So I've done a little mixing at the side there with this roving on tops. This is going to be a base that I'm putting on, so I didn't pull this apart and mix it up that much. But the bit on the side there, I have pulled it apart and self-carded it myself. Not much, because it's perfect colours for this. So I've done the base, and then I've taken that bit that I've done and I'm just going to loosely attach it all over the top. I need a bit for the back in a minute, so you'll see me sort of self-card it. There you go, just mess it up in your hands, have a bit of fun, and then needle felt it a bit, and then pop it round. It was really good colours, so I was really happy with it, but just take a mixture of colours, mix them all up, and I think you'll get the mossy effect. So you could put anything you want on this mushroom. You could have other animals. I mean, you don't have to have a mouse. I was going to do a sleeping mouse, but in the end my mouse is standing up because I needed to fill the gap a bit more, I felt. He's holding a little acorn, in case you can't tell, which some of my family couldn't. But he's very sweet, he's very cute. Like I said, he is quite large, so you could adapt the mushrooms to your own size. So the next video is the mouse, if you're interested in doing the mouse. I hope you've enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, comment. I've got lots of other videos. And happy felting. Thanks for watching, guys.